What's up, everybody? I'm Deadlydill Gaming, and many of you know this, but some of you don't. I'm actually a pastor alongside of being a content creator. I've been a pastor for 10 years. So I just stepped down from youth ministry, and now I'm running the media and online portion of everything at our church. And during my streams, I do incorporate my faith a lot. We have open discussion, we talk about it, I share my beliefs. And the really cool part about it is that in our community, we have a lot of people from all different walks of life. Like legitimately, there's some people who aren't Christians, there's people who have said that they're pagans, there are agnostics, whatever it may be. We have a community of people that are like that. And we've had open discussion so many different times about my faith and about even their faith and why they believe what they do believe. So if you're in here and you're a Christian, let us encourage you that we can have open discussion with people of different faiths. And you, if you're in here and you're not a Christian, let this also encourage you that not all Christians are trying to be forceful. My job as a Christian is to compel you to know who Jesus is, to tell you the truth, not force it upon you. It's not my job. My job is to show you the truth and talk to you about the truth. And hopefully, prayerfully, that you come to see the truth as I've come to see it. But I just wanted to show you some of these awesome things that we get to talk about during my stream. Before we get into any of that, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications. Might as well just like the video because it's awesome. Anyway, love y'all. Let's watch this. I think this is the problem. I think this is the problem with how we've done things before in the past, or just even now. Truth has become relative. So we can be open-minded, but when do we as people even, so let's forget religious side of things. Oh yeah, Jesus, 100%. No, Jesus was not born during Christmas time at all. No, Jesus was born during the springtime. Otherwise, shepherds would not be out in the fields. Where's the point of saying, this is what I believe? You know what I'm saying? What is the point of saying, this is what I believe? Because I feel like if we're too relative, if we're too relative with our truth, then what is truth? Because I think we've become so relative with truth that we don't want to make anything truth. Because I think if we make something truth, we're afraid to submit to that truth. Right? Because trust me, like for me personally, like I've known, like I've studied, and there's some things that I've read and other things that I'm like, oh, that sounds nice personally, but I know what my truth is. You know what I'm saying? I also find that it is very misconstrued. People will make it believe like a belief. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Ritz. I believe there's a higher power, but a label as single, all-knowing control. So let me ask you a question then. Why not just call the higher power God? What's the difference between higher power and God? Just curious. Like, this is pure discussion. I love having this discussion. Makes me think of that. Just curious, like what would be the difference between higher power and God? Because I think the one thing, because I think I've talked to someone similar about this, is that the difference between I think like a higher power and God is because if we just say higher power, there's almost no connection. Whereas like if I say God and belief in God, then there's almost like I have to talking about how I give my life to the Lord, right? As Christians, we believe giving our lives to the Lord and saying, God, do whatever you want with it, you know? And the difference is the God is God's or God's, right? At least for me. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. 100%. There was a video that I wanted to show you guys, and it talked about and I'm gonna find it, but this guy talked about he was very scientific. He talked about how everything is made of space, matter, and time, right? Ready for this? So like space, matter, and time, correct? So like if there's a higher power, right? If there's a higher power, then that wouldn't that thing exist outside of those because it created it, correct? So everything's made of space, matter, and time, right? Without space, there'd be no place to put, I think it's matter and time. Without time, where would you put it? And without matter, what would you put, you know? So it's one of those things where you think about that, and it shows that there is something higher. Time is perceived differently depending on the size of the organism. Right, but time is still time, though. It doesn't matter what the organism is. Time is time, correct? Time is a construct, but time is still time. But then, like, wouldn't it be better? So to answer that, then what is like? Then that would almost make it feel like my life afterwards is just nothing, almost. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess I don't want to live life just being like, well, I'm just gonna turn into emptiness. You know what I'm saying? So like, where's the line? How come it's easy to believe like after death there's nothing? Or is poof? Instead of believing that after death, we as, at least with the Christian faith, we believe that, man, we get to spend eternity with the Lord, with Jesus, There's no more pain. There's no more suffering. There's none of that. Like, we literally get to spend eternity in that. And that's the thought, that is what we believe as Christians and know to be true. So the thought process then is why is it hard? Why is it easier to believe that there's nothing rather than afterwards, man? If we live here on earth, which is such a finite time and compared to eternity, that we get to spend forever in heaven or forever with the Lord, you know? And so I guess like I've always wondered that. And so like, this is just curious discussion. I feel like nothing was ever revealed to me. Like God never touched my life or spoke to me or never any sort of along with my experiences led. Right, because you know why, Nitro, is because it was almost like you were forced into it, right? There was no will of being like, okay, God, like here I am on my own accord saying, do something in me, right? And that was the same with me. I went to church my entire life. I didn't really start getting involved in church till I was 17, guys. And I started getting dedicated. I started getting into church, and then that year I graduated high school and I started on my way to be a youth pastor. Right, but then that would mean that. So I used to think religion was just people profiting off fear. Yeah, right. For me, there is a power outside of space. There's power outside of space and time. All for me is that people just get the religion and think, but then how is there power out? You know, there is power outside of it because whatever created it. So there is power outside of space and time, right? Space, time, and matter. Something had to create that in order for it to be created. So therefore, the thing that created it is outside of it.